And welcome back here to the North American LCS expansion tournament. I am Daniel Egak Caruso, and joining me is the wonderful Aiden Zyrene Moon. And we're going to be bringing you an exciting day of League of Legends Challenger action. But before that, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. The dream.
The dream.
Met you like 2 years ago. We never cast together.
I know.
It's been a really long time. But aside from that, I'm really excited to not only be casting with you, but also for these games. This is the final day of the round of 8 for the expansion tournament. So we're going to find out who those top 4 teams are.
Yep, so why don't we actually explain the tournament before we go to those teams. So what happened was there was 13 teams that entered, and only 2 will actually make it into the LCS, which is actually a very tough thing to deal with. We had 4-team double elimination brackets. That's actually going to be at the finals, where the winner of winners will advance to LCS, and the winner of losers will advance to the LCS. And 2 of those teams obviously will make it towards there. And then we're going to have the determining Group C and D come out today. So why don't we actually show you the bracket? So.
Yeah, 2 of those teams make it to the 2015 LCS, where it expands to 10 teams.
Yep, and in Group A, what we saw, Final 5 destroy Complexity Black. We didn't actually expect that, so that was a very good upset to see.
And then in Group B, we saw Curse Academy 2 over Complexity White, which knocked out all 5 members of the Complexity squad that we saw in the LCS, ruining any of their chances of getting back in this season.
Yeah, that's actually interesting to think about. No Complexity in LCS. Coming up today, though, we're going to have Team Coast Gaming take on Team LoLPro, 2 very, very big challenger powerhouses.
Yeah, and then after that, we're going to see Enemy Esports take on Fusion Gaming, which everybody seems to be really excited about, because there's a lot of questions about that team. There's a lot of hype around them, too.
You know, Mac Noon brings the hype, man. You got to be ready for what he picks up top. Now you see his stream, you see him playing Scion, just running around charging across the map, having some fun. Yeah, America, just like that. But so we have the picks and bans for you guys coming on up soon. But before that, if you guys want to, check out IEM San Jose, that is going to be coming up very, very soon.
In 2 weeks. And it's December 6th and 7th. You can get your tickets at esl.gg/IEM San Jose tickets and get yourself a spot in that big stadium, the SAP Stadium, I believe it is, over in San Jose. And there's going to be LCS teams there. No, Cloud9 Alliance will be there. Unicorns of Love.
Everybody's excited.
Want to see how they do against LCS caliber teams.
And also, don't forget, live here in the Burbank Studios in California, if you guys want to check out the grand finals and the finals overall between these challenger teams, you can come on over. I know that I might be here. Might be doing some work there, but you can go to esl.gg/LCSNA expansion, type that in all caps, and pick up a ticket or 2. Bring someone on a nice little date, have some fun, watch some League of Legends together. But we're going to get into picks and bans as soon as possible between Coast and LoLPro, as that's going to be the first game for you guys. And man, there's just a lot of information on these teams. You got Impaler, you've got Jezzies coming over from the European side of things, and they bring a good flair to Coast.
Yeah, I'm actually really concerned about this matchup for LoLPro, because LoLPro is not a very strategically oriented team right now. They're all mechanical gods in their roles. Like Yasui's 17-year-old great mid laner. Think hard, when he was in the LCS, he was involved in every First Blood he played when he was on CLG. And all these guys across the board just have great mechanics. Up against Coast, which is a very volatile matchup for LoLPro, because Yasui wants to kill you in lane. He's the kind of guy who's like, I need to get these kills, I need to get ahead. And Jez is like, I'm going to throw bombs, I'm going to be okay. I'm just going to wave clear and we'll be good.
He's that annoying person you don't ever want to lane against. It's like, you're just playing so safe. What am I going to do?
Let me kill you.
Yeah, just please, let me dive you. I just wanted that first blood. But the bans, they came on through very, very fast. From the side of Coast, we see Zed, Syndra, and Jace taking away a lot from Yasui. That is 3 of his major pickups. And then from the side of Team LoLPro, we see Rengar, Maokai, and Xerath. Xerath big for Jezzies, Rengar huge for Impaler. We had that 3 versus 1 in the river in the earlier stages of this tournament, so Maokai pretty standard, but Gnar slips on through.
I know, Gnar slips on through, so Chris is going to have that in the top lane, and these bans were very quick, like you said, but I'm pretty sure they were thought through extremely well, because there's 4 mid lane bans right here, but Jez still manages to get a top tier pick for himself in that mid lane, and those are all towards Yasui, and I said this is a very volatile matchup where he wants to kill you in lane. He doesn't really have too many tools left to get kills, and Orianna is an extremely safe laner. When you think of a laner that just wants to farm and then scale into the late game, you're like, Orianna.
I'm trying to think.
Clear mid, go get their wraiths. Clear mid, go get our wraiths. Just back and forth, clear, and then you show up with a team fighting changing ultimate.
Now I'm going to try to decide what Yasui's going to default to now, because without those 2 major assassins in Zed and Syndra, there's not all too much left that he can go for high kill potential, especially on the Orianna. He would have definitely loved to snag that up. But
he's got like Ahri. That's about it.
Ahri possibly. Mid lane Soraka, you know, with the changes to her, honestly, it could work out, but pairing that with the Graves is a great combo.
They have 280 carries right now.
Oh, hold on. Corki mid, AP. Let's go. Let's bring on the AP Corki.
So Yasui's going to bring out, looks like it's probably going to be an AD Corki. I mean, maybe he's just going to be like, oh, Graves
AP
is the
Corki's
new...
still pretty good.
Graves is the new boy mid laner. I don't know. But we're going to have to see what ends up happening there, but it might throw them for a loop. They take off multiple AD carries off the field there. So Mash, he's going to go with the Caitlyn, have a safe lane against either of them. And this is just, from Coast lineup here, it's pretty safe across the board. So they're playing to their strength, which is just sit around, let Impaler kind of affect the lanes, and then farm up, because they feel like they have the strategical advantage in shot calling, where I know LoLPro is actually a team where they don't have a defined shot caller. They're kind of that combined effort where everybody's giving their 2 cents, and then one person, whoever speaks the loudest, I guess, makes the decision.
That could be a little catastrophic too. Yeah. It could destroy the team fights at points. Like one person making a bigger call and someone else shouts, "Let's go for Impaler," and it's like, oh crap, the focus is now
just because you're louder doesn't mean you're right.
It doesn't mean you're right at all. But I love what they picked up. They got the Kha'Zix for Impaler, so he's going to be able to make good effect of that. He can farm up as well and just become a big powerhouse in that late game if he wanted to. And pairing Janna Caitlyn, very, very safe lane, can bully out Graves and Soraka even harder. And I'm interested to see when Soraka comes running at you with his 70% movement speed, I believe?
Yeah, I believe it's 70% when they are below, is it 30%?
30%?
Yeah, and then it's up to the range of whatever your W is, which is 450.
And then she just comes charging at you. Just want to heal you, just want to heal you. But the range is much lower on the heal, too. So you have to be in there. You're trading a percentage of your life. It's very, very calculated when you're playing Soraka. And the last pick is going to be the Rumble for Flares up top to go up against Gnar. That is going to be tough.
This is all mid-game. This is all a mid-game composition here for Team LoLPro. Rumble top, then they have the Jarvan for the Cataclysm and the Dragon fight. They have the Poke from the AP Corki mid, which is going to spike in the mid-game. And then they have Graves, which is just written all over mid-game AD carry with like 1-2 items.
It synergizes really well with the Cataclysm and the Equalizer. If they get that combo together with the collateral damage, boom, you're going to win a mid-game team fight really easily. But the safety that can come out of Team Coast, I would be scared for late game. So we're going to get into the game as soon as possible. But before that, if you want to tweet at us your predictions, your ideas of what this Corki is going to be, AD or AP, at LOL Esports, hashtag LCS expansion, and we want to know what you think. This is going to be a hype match. There's 2 matches today in total, and it's going to be a good day for Challenger.
Oh yeah, I'm especially just want to see what happens with this matchup, because Coast, they picked this composition that's like, we're okay in the early game with farming.
Oh yeah.
Kha'Zix is going to try to affect the lanes. And then mid-game, LoLPro has all the cards unless something went drastically wrong for them. Gnar has really good power spikes around the mid-game and the level 11s and things like that for Orianna. So when you get to these dragon fights, they do have tools to win the fight if played properly on Coast side. But LoLPro, you know, they just have more cards in their hand.
All right, so we'll see who can who's playing with the bigger deck. So as they get onto the Rift, it looks like it's going to be... I was interested to see what Keith McBrief was going to do with this Soraka, if he was going to go more AP, but it looks like he went for the coin instead, and I like that.
I've seen 3 builds with Soraka. Some people start the Spell Thief's Blade, Spell Thief's Edge. Others start with the Relic coin because they want to have that sustain in lane. And I've seen people start Crystalline Flask or get Crystalline Flask first back, because HP regen is extremely vital on her.
Yeah. And you can see the use there. It's a very low cooldown on that heal, too. Like, I really enjoy it. Some early aggression is going to come out here from Coast as they want to get those deep wards, try to get the timers possibly on when Think Card's going to be looking to gank around. And we didn't really highlight it, but Think Card's a very aggressive jungler. And going up against Impaler, I want to see his level 3, what he's going to plan to do. If he just wants to farm, by all means, go for it. But what lane can he gank? It's going to be so hard for Think Card to make any aggression.
Yeah, it's very safe lanes across the board here for Coast with very mild gank assistance. Like, you don't see anybody going to be like, all right, we stunned them. They're going to be able to just come in and destroy them. It's kind of like, let's just survive the early game. Exactly, let's survive the early game. Let's get to that point where we have ultimates, level 6s, and then they can make moves from there.
Yep, so it looks like no lane swap, something tricky going to come on out here. And I'm worried for Flares, man. Chris, he's an amazing top laner. He's one of the higher challenger ladder as well. He's sitting up there. I forget what it was. He was really close to number 1.
He's always up there in the challenger ladder. He's always around that top 10 area. Him and like IKennyU. He was number 1 for a bit. Chris goes back and forth on that, depending on how much he plays, with the team or solo. Yeah, mostly scrimming, you know, just trying to practice to get into the LCS. This is a big time for this guy. He wants to make it back in. Had a taste of velocity, so... look at this. It's the former Coast bottom lane here from the LCS. It's Mash and WizFusion. Both of them had their stints on the Coast in the LCS. So I like this pairing too.
Sheep, he's been adamant about taking the edge on Janna. He loves the AP, being able to utilize that with the shields and being able to just keep the damage coming.
Yeah, and it's not exactly the 2v1 lane that you get when you have a Soraka. Because Soraka's like, all right, I'm around here, I'm just going to let you 2v1 these guys.
Yep.
Whereas Janna's kind of like, I still have a lot of damage to offer, some CC to offer, and then the shield, which gives AD, which she can put on herself, then walk up and auto-attack. Soraka's more of, I want to stay behind you by like a tiny bit, like diagonally away from you, and then line things up, walk up, throw down an Equinox, and see what happens. Because that Equinox is fantastic in team fights too.
Yeah,
just speaking about more mid-game Dragonfight power, like, what happens when you throw down a Cataclysm and somebody throws the silence underneath it?
Yeah, you get rooted up.
You're screwed for 3.5 seconds from the Cataclysm.
So that's a deadly combo in itself, and we're seeing ThinkCard. Yeah, he's... did he go over? Oh, this is a very sneaky gank. But again, Jezzy's. He can heal for the movement speed if he wants to. He can flash away for safety.
Bottom.
This could be the loop around for the attempted first blood here. If they do get that silence and can manage to snag a root there, it could work out. ThinkCard shows himself. He's going to go with the flag and drag, but a good Howling Gale just disengages that completely.
Yeah, Keith McBrief not in position to set anything up, because that would have stopped the Howling Gale even cast to begin with.
Yep.
So you want to start with the Equinox to get the silence, because then it throws people off, because they're like, oh, no, because it's instantaneous silence. And you sit there and you're like, I hit Q. And you're like, my game's broken. I need a new keyboard. But no, you got silenced.
Yeah, that's one of the stronger abilities in the game, I believe. Just instant silences are something tough to deal with.
Yeah, AoE instant silence that zones people off and then roots immediately after its duration is really powerful.
And now we're seeing Impaler skitter around just a bit on that Kha'Zix, maybe looking to steal some jungle away from ThinkCard. And ThinkCard, man, we highlighted the aggression. He's not giving up. He doesn't care how safe these lanes are. He's going to try to force at least a summoner spell out or something.
Yeah, that's his style, though, and Impaler realized that. Impaler is one of the most intelligent junglers that I've come across with his play. He knows aggression, he knows mechanics, and he also knows his opportunities and his windows.
Yep.
He's sitting there going, I researched my opponent. I know what he's going to do. ThinkCard's going to look for these ganks. I'm going to take his jungle, and then ThinkCard kind of does the same thing, but leaves a camp up for him.
All right, so leaves one of those little wraiths after brutally slaughtering his family. But, man.
It's dark. He just watched them all die.
I know. He's like, what am I going to do? Please just put me out of my misery.
Spared you. You know what's going to happen? That Wraith is just going to become really big, come back later in 10 years, and be like, you, Jarvan!
It's going to turn into a white.
Do you have 6 fingers on your hand?
What? All right, but the lanes in terms of farm, looking relatively even. The only big discrepancy is that top lane where Chris is about 10 up on flares right now. That Gnar, the range matchup, dealing with Rumble, it's working pretty well for him.
Get him while he's silenced.
Yeah, no problem. Just get that free harass. The Rage Gene on top of it is a pretty big deal if you hop on in, and you could eat a lot of damage from Mega Gnar.
Yeah, he's going to get that transformation. It's going to heal him up that little bit that he took, too. That regen from Mega Gnar is really big. Gnar has some of the lowest base stats in the game, but Mega Gnar has the highest base stats in the game, just to compensate.
Yep. I gotta say, that transformation, man, it is really something else.
It's powerful, but you have no control over it, but you can kind of play around it.
Yes. If you can get a good hop in,
yeah,
then...
if your opponents know you well enough, and know the champion well enough, they can play around it too, which is the counterplay that's intended.
Already some early battles for the pink ward spots, too. I gotta say, defensive pink ward's working out pretty well for LoLPro, and don't see anything in the river just yet, either. Just that one that Coast played earlier on. They're just trying to keep ThinkCard away, and he, surprisingly enough, hasn't noticed that.
And like that, Jez is actually wrapping around the top lane. The ward comes down. Sorry, Impaler wraps around the top lane. Jez was clearing, zoning ThinkCard off the mid. He's actually going to walk on top of a ward here.
He's level 6. I don't think you want to dive into an equalizer. I mean, you can use Mega Gnar to tank that turret, but a little risky. We saw Westrice yesterday.
Yeah.
Play that really well.
Yeah, Flares right there was managing his heat to make sure that he didn't overheat himself and silence himself, just in case he got dove there. Match going to get rooted. No big deal, though.
Yeah. Janna Caitlyn a really big bully in the lane, as they can just keep forcing you out, so.
We haven't really taken too much stock of this mid lane, because there's just been action polarized on the other side, because Jez is, like we said, very safe mid laner here. 52 CS, losing out a little bit to Yusui, who has that Sheen available to him, but has also been getting some jungle attention just in terms of having ThinkCard around in the area, which pushes Jez's off a tiny bit, but he's already a very passive mid laner when he's on these farm champions. He trusts in his late game ability to pull off moves with shockwaves and to just get to that point. He doesn't want to be the point of weakness on his team, and he almost never is.
Yeah, he's very reliable. You can trust Jez's quite a bit to be safe and farm up. So this is going to be the second rotation of buffs, or second spawning of buffs, and we're going to see the junglers get them pretty safely and maybe hop over to a blue for both mid laners to help them out with their spam. As they just keep throwing the orbs, the little ball out, as well as the rockets. So it looks like Yasui, though, he's found himself a little lead, and he's going for that Trinity Force rush with an early Sheen.
Yeah, nobody had a really kind of early game composition here. Like I said, LoLPro, mid-game, Coast has some team fighting around that mid-game. So very volatile matchup. Dragon fights are going to be very, very crucial for both of these teams when they come into it, because both team comps can play around those areas, around those timings, and it's all about what items you buy, how much CS you are down before that point, because these guys don't look like they're going to give up kills anytime soon. No,
and with teleport down for flares, that's really big too. Chris could tell a team, all right, his teleport's down, we can try to force this 4 versus 5, this 5 versus 4, excuse me, and then if flare starts running on down, you know, disengage, just try to turn the fight.
Yeah, and also the fact that Chris is actually countering his lane opponent with aggression because he got the Hex Drinker. But look at this.
They throw the
ward
shield
clearing
onto Impaler. They're going to slow down Keeper Brief.
There's the
Ignite
TP.
comes out. Hell and Gale going to knock him out as well. A good Equinox silences up Sheep. Chris is now joining the fight. He goes in. Flash hop on top of it. Keeper Brief. Gnar into the wall too, man. That Swiss Fusion is going to fall after that. It's going to be first blood for Impaler. They're going to seal a blue. Yasui, though, on the side, trying to poke them out. But they do get this blue, and Yasui's going to get zoned by Jez's, and this should be a dragon.
Yeah, it's the fight right before it, too, that ends up being so volatile. And like you said, the TP up top was crucial because he TPs down, no response from flares, and it's rumbled. No way to interrupt that spell.
Had they had Equalize there, that would have been a different fight. That would have been a very different fight. Flares, though, finds some solo time. He's trying to catch up, but that dragon, those kills, very big for Coast.
Yes, and Coast is the type of team that has this strategical edge like that, where they play together. Like, I'm pretty sure Chris probably sat there and said, you know, I will walk back to lane, very conscious decision after shoving it out, to make sure he doesn't use his TP, and then Flares uses his, and they call it. They make that invade happen, and then they place the pink ward, and the bait was just so well executed. You don't expect two members of the enemy team to come from your side of the map that early on.
No, you do not. And Chris played that really well, too. The hop, when you're in Little Gnar form, is a very large range you wouldn't really suspect. So he flashes in, hops in, and that two-man Gnar was superb.
Yeah, he just hit 100 rage then, too. He was ready for his rotation and very familiar with that champion, knowing how quickly after the TP he'd be able to execute that move.
Yep, and I like the pink wards. The warding on top of this has been really important for Coast. They've been taking control of the river. They control the blue side for a bit despite that pink ward being there, and they still managed to get control of the map this early on, and it's a really good sign.
Yep, and that's going to be 2k gold advantage for them just off of that one play that rewarded them the dragon. And now, Pro doesn't have as many cards in their hand. They kind of took away that early game card where it's like, all right, we have some lanes that can do well and farm up. What about these mid-game fights? Because dragon means you're not going to get another fight for about 6 minutes. And these teams, their engage is pretty much in the hands of LoLPro unless Chris comes down again.
And, I mean, teleport will be up sooner for flares, so they could put some pressure on bot lane if they really wanted to.
It had to be a counter. It'd have to be.
It'd have to be Impaler initiating that and just leaping forward, and they'd have to be lucky enough to have that ward actually stay alive in the back of the brush. So, all the foresight in minds, think hard. He hasn't found anything. It's hurting him quite a bit. He really wants the gank on this Jarvan.
Yeah, he looks around a lot. You can see just an item differential here because of the impact that Impaler had in that fight, picking up a kill and assist as well as the Dragon Gold. A little bit ahead, equal in CS for the most part, which just lies to you a little bit in the jungle.
Yep.
Thinkard has been clearing a little bit more, a little bit less of the camps when he's clearing the enemy jungle. So he's getting more gold from it overall, but regardless.
It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And Chris, too. You're seeing it right now. Flares can't really contest them at all. That boomerang damage is huge. He picked up an early Hex Drinker. I love that pickup against Rumble. It's going to be able to mitigate so much damage from him. Flame Spitter and Equalizer really won't matter too much to him.
Yeah, Gnar's base damages are really good, so you just need one item to really just take it to your opponent. Some people buy the Brutalizer. Some people go and they're like, okay, well, I guess it's Hex Drinker time. just counter whoever your lane matchup is and then play it from there.
Yeah,
Chris is doing a great job.
Flares hasn't had any time to ward this lane either, so he is completely blind. Gnar comes in, they don't get him into the wall, so that stun does not connect. They'll slow him down with the Void Spike. He drops the Equalizer, trying to turn this one around. Thinkard is there, going forward, and it doesn't matter. Chris gets the auto attacks, pops him down, and that's going to be one dead Yordle. Down bot, they're looking for some damage. Okay, they just trade it back.
A little bit too much of a turn there from Flares, and not enough of a flash towards his turret. A little bit off to the right side, and a very easy chase for Chris.
Yep, and once again down bot here. Mash and Sheep, just keep that advantage going, and I gotta say, they're playing that bot lane pretty well. I thought Soraka would be able to put up a little bit more of a fight, but she's really just sitting there healing.
Yep, keeping it even. Not harassing too much. Keep it brief, not able to deal with Sheep and Mash, which is a very, very tried and true combination that's been together for almost a year at this point.
A long time.
It's been a long time since these guys have joined up.
Gotta say, they've been making the synergy work, and they're finally here. You know, Mash has been trying. He's been in the finals, I believe, of every Challenger Series. He's been trying so hard to make it into the LCS.
He's at least made playoffs.
Yeah.
Because he was on Curse Academy when they lost to Complexity, and Complexity got 3rd place, and they got 4th, and then they couldn't make it to the promo tournament. So they've made playoffs of Challenger every time.
That's gotta be hard to face. You're just like, I get so close.
He's still not giving up, though.
Yeah.
And the fact that he combined with Sheep, and then Coast had some roster issues, is just one of those things that he's just been sticking through, and he just really enjoys this lane with Sheep.
I gotta say, though, the roster changes may have hurt Coast a bit, but they found great introduction of Jesse and Impaler. They seem to fit really well.
Yeah, especially the style of Coast, which is very methodical. These guys aren't going to take too many risks. They're not a huge risk-taking team. And when you're like, who we want a non-risk-taking mid laner, it's like, oh, let's pick up Jez's, which is fantastic. The only time he ever really takes risks on champions is when he's playing Ahri. And even then, he's just so good at that champion, that one assassin.
Yasui really wants this blue buff. Oh, Impaler failed the jump, but they don't get the steal. They force the smite, though, so they keep Yasui down in mana drain. Thinkard, he can't really look to go into this Equalizer. They teleported Flares in, though. He's going to chase down onto Impaler here, but he's just going to be able to use that bug stealth and get away. So nothing out of it, unfortunately. They do force Chris down, too, with his teleport, but that's going to translate into a tier 1, possibly.
It's possible. They don't have their AD carry here just yet. See both of them just sticking out in that bottom lane because he was shoved out. It's just going to be wave clear. And Yasui's out of mana.
Yeah, so send him back to base, let him get his mana back, and reset the fight. Just reset everything.
Yep, reset it all, no TPs next time. And Dragon is up in 20 seconds, which is really big for these top laners. If Chris had just held off on his TP, it would have been another advantage for them. Yeah, they would have got that tier 1 no problem. And he could have just kept pushing and maybe even got some tier 2 damage, but him TPing guaranteed that it wasn't a 5 versus 4, and it was just pretty much a non-lose situation. It's like, we don't lose anybody, no one dies, no one gives up anything objective-wise, so. It was kind of the safer play. Yep. If that makes any sense. Using ability is actually safer. That sweeper doesn't see it, man. Oh. It was off to the left. Just a bit. What? Yasui, he's going risky here. He's got to get the Valkyrie over the wall. Okay, not gonna run into it like Impaler. And Dragon is live too, so. LoLPro's there first. Let's see. They don't get too much coverage down. There's a lot more wards from the side of Coast taking control of that whole area. Chris clearing out this mid lane. They have to bring the wave clear of Yasui to that mid lane because he's really the only one besides Flares, and Flares needs to be in position for his Equalizer because it's really close to coming up. Oh, Wiz, man. He's getting chunked out so hard. Ace in the hole, too, is going to force him back, and that's just a free Dragon. Yep. Just that one dissonance plus the Ace in the hole is enough to just stop LoLPro from even attempting the Dragon. Yep. I gotta say, this mid lane Corki, it's been farming pretty well, and he even picked up Stork Boots, too. Even AD Corki, when he's in the bot lane, will pick up that item, and it helps out a little bit more. It looks like he's just going to go AP anyway, because he's getting the Trinity Force. Yeah. Right? So it's just a standard build from Corki here. I wouldn't be surprised if... I think he's just going to go full AD. Yeah. In this regard. And with Graves back, this is going to be a tier 1 down mid. I mean, down bot going down, and possibly down mid, too. This is a good split pressure. Yeah, sorry about that. I was like, we're calling it an AP Corki. It's pretty much just Corki. Yeah, it's just doing his thing. Hybrid Corki. There we go. Yeah. Corki's, yeah, usually people are like, the build path on Corki is like, do I get Sork Shoes or Zerker's Greaves? And if you go Sork Shoes, it's like, all right, more spells. A copter with a dream is what he is. He wants to fill all the roles he can. So, Blue's going around to Jez's. They've been pretty good at making sure he can get every blue he can. Yeah, man, if you're a copter with a dream, sky's the limit. It is indeed. But helicopter's going to go so high, so.
don't want to pull a wax wing. Melt from the sun.
Is that Icarus?
Icarus, there we
Yeah,
go. I was looking for the name. I can't remember my Greek. But with Fusion, compared to the side of MASH, the Infinity's Edge has been finished up much faster. MASH had that assist, so it boosted him just that tiny bit more. And gotta look for these fights. They can't let Coast keep bullying him like this. Like, no. Jesus has been finding really good bursts when he can. And it's going to be tough to deal with, too. The shockwaves are going to be pretty big in this mid-game.
Yeah, we have yet to see one really go off.
Nope.
At all.
He hasn't used it at all.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is they're already 6K up, and this is the type of Orianna play that you see where you don't know how much damage he's going to do until you see that ability come out. You can kind of judge it, but then the first time you see it, you're just like, whoa, we got chunked out, everybody just got distanced on top of it, we got to stop. Or we're all dead.
Yep.
It's one of those things where when you get into top lane, sometimes it's better not to hit your lane opponent because then you show him how much damage you're actually going to do to him. You ever walk up and it's just like, I'm Renekton and I hit you. Oh no, I'm not hitting you hard enough. And then he's like, wait a second, I can fight you.
Yeah, he's got like that brutalizer. You're like, wait a minute, oh god, I'll repent. But tier 1 in mid, it looks like it'll go down, and that's all 3. Tier 1's gone, so now the pressure is on. Coast, what's the next objective for them? Are they going to look to try to secure a tier 2 here? They could just leave Chris split pushing. At this point, he's got his random wins. They can't deal with him.
Yep. 2-0-1-1, 100% kill participation on the top laner.
Yep.
28 CS over his lane opponent. He's in really good shape right now.
I like what they did there. Thinkard dropped the flag and the aggro just goes straight to Kha'Zix, but it doesn't matter. They're going to steal the red. They get the wards over the side too, and who do they toss it over to?
Looks like it went over to
Jesus? Jesus, okay.
Yeah, Chris actually came down from top lane there because he was already shoving it out, so it was kind of a win-win situation there for Coast. If they had contested it, it would have just fallen into their hands anyway, and more kills.
Impaler was getting really ballsy there. You don't ever want to see him actually be aggressive towards you. That means that they're in a good position here. Flares, though, has got to be a little careful. He's overheated and silent. If they slow him up with Zephyr, Chris is doing so much damage to the boomerang. Auto attack's coming in. He's going to transform, though, and he can't get in range. Use the hop to get in there, so unfortunately, that's it.
Yeah, he still had his flash, and he was thinking about whether or not he flashes and Nars into the wall, but then he just retconned it, got out of there. Sheep had already tanked the first couple of shots, which was really good.
So, some good communication coming in from Coast right now, too. Janna's really good at tanking turrets, despite, she might be a little squishy, but she just drops a shield on herself, and she's tanking 3 to 4 shots, and you're good to go.
And then you just get out, and you're like, all right, Monsoon!
Yep, just heal up. That's the best thing about the AP, too. It scales really well with Monsoon. So, this fight for this blue buff has been going on for a while. No wars from either side, and it looks like Pro will finally be able to get it, but Thinkard snags it up, man. You want to see Yusui getting these so he can spam up those rockets, and this tier 2 now is going to be pressured because they wanted it. A teleport comes in from Flares. He's got to find a good equalizer if he comes in fully. He cancels it.
He's not going to get anything for that, too. It was just ill-timed. They were already backing off. There wasn't really a minion wave there at all for either side, so nobody's going to stick around.
Yeah, it's just, he really wants to make something happen for his team, but he can't. Not getting a good equalizer is so hurtful, and MASH is just able to stand there and take it. Ball on Impaler, too.
Flares is probably really conscious about his use of teleport in this game.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I used it to get back to lane, then I got taken advantage of. Now I just used it again.
Whoa.
And that's going to be really big for Chris, because now he has his, and he's been using his very effectively. Every time Chris has used his teleport, something big has resulted from it, whether it was just a disengage, which was the one where it was like it could have been 4v5. That could have been a bad situation. Other time, picks up kills and starts snowballing the game for Coast. And that was really all that's happened. All right, they chunked out Wiz Fusion from the previous Dragon, and the next one's up in 55 seconds.
Look at this ward coverage, man. 2 pinks have been sitting in the river for so long by that Baron Pit. They had about a total of, I think it's 9 wards on that red side of the map, too.
Well, here's the thing, too, is their pinks are lining all of the river. Like, if you just look at that, one in the top, one near the mid-left, one near the mid-right, and then one in that bottom tri-brush. Coast is making it so that LoLPro can't even get into their jungle without being seen. You cover all options there.
You just completely shut Thinkard down.
Yeah.
He couldn't do anything this game. He hasn't died, but he's trying to farm.
He's literally done nothing.
Yeah.
Died, assisted, he's killed some creeps.
Same could be said for Yusui. This mid lane Corki, he's been farming up, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to fighting, they're going to try to engage with the Cataclysm on a Jezzy's. This could backfire on them pretty hard, but they get in the range of the ball, they silence mash up and slow him down. It's just kind of a bit of an ARAM going on right now.
Yeah, they just got a flash out of Jez's, but that's the Cataclysm, and Dragon is up in 2 seconds.
Oh, man. This is going to be a big fight for them if they can get it. They try to get those Electro Harpoons on Impaler and chunk him down just a bit, but Chris is able to zone that boomerang just so strong at this point. The ward battles are going down in mid. They pop an ace in the hole, and Wiz Fusion tanks it, but Keith can heal him up no problem. So giving him a little bit of that McBreathe healing. They might just forfeit this Dragon as they just go straight towards mid. This tier 1 is very important to them. The ball's coming on through as well. Chris is going to get ready to transform here. They get the Flash Flagon Dragon from Thinkar, but Jez is able to maneuver away from it. Jez has picked up the kill on him. They get a Gnar and a Yasui. That's huge. Shockwave on top of it. Heals to give him the speed to get out of there. The Wish just popped as well. Wish Fusion is getting zoned away by Sheep and Mash. He's forced to run.
Buff.
Red buff is going to slow him. Zephyr on top of it, and it looks like the heals are coming through. They flash over. Everybody getting him. Keith McBreathe falls. There's the claws coming in from Impaler, and that's going to be a 3 for none.
And Coast, they just get a tiny bit in this game, and then they start rolling over them. This could possibly be a perfect game for Coast in terms of turrets, dragons, and kills.
The execution, man, it's been on point for them right now. They are very, very mechanically skilled players. Yasui, if he gets the steal with the big one, I'd probably just lose it. But let's see. Jezzy's going to zone him out just a bit. The ball's coming through. Yasui can't risk it, and that's just going to be the first pattern of the game. Over to Coast.
Cover your options, zone out the person who could possibly steal it, and then you're all good. Just really, really sound play there from Coast.
This is stuff that you like to see on the Challenger scene. They've been learning, they've been adapting, including LCS talent into their roster, and just showing up right now.
Yeah, and people were questioning whether or not Coast had been tested with this new roster. And Paler had a really good showing on his Rengar. Played it both games, 13.5 KDA.
Yep.
In those 2 games against Call Gaming. And Jez's actually only died once in that series, having a 36 KDA in 2 games. So people were questioning whether or not they had been tested. But look at this.
Oh,
objective.
Man.
Ooh.
They do get the Dragon from the side of Pro, but at what cost? Keith McBreathe is down, as now hopping in. Chris is going to try to make something happen at this little mini-Gnar form. He needs a little bit more range. The Equalizer is dropped, though. It's a 2 for none, and Paler on a killing spree. Wiz Fusion's life is forfeit. He gets stunned up. They don't even need the rock to kill him, and Paler is there. That Kha'Zix is so strong. Doesn't even need Rengar.
4-0 and 4 on that top lane, or sorry, mid lane Kha'Zix. Whatever, he's between those 2. He's a jungler. Sorry. Sorry, I was like, oh, the kill participation. It's 3-0 and 5 for the top lane Gnar. Like, these guys are just going crazy. You would have thought it was the solo lane Kha'Zix with his score like that. And the amount of damage that he's pumping out, really, really, really potent right now. He has all the damage items he needs. He's going to start building tanky from there. But, man, Impaler is just running away with this game. Coast is running away with this game. 12k gold advantage at 24 minutes. Average gold advantage per minute is 500 gold. You're basically getting a kill and a half per minute.
All right, so liking the stats, liking the way Coast is playing. If I was LoLPro right now, I'd probably be thinking, all right, what did we mess up? Pick bans. We had no CC to initiate with Thinkar.
I don't even think it was that much of a pick ban as much as it was the TP from Flair's top and Chris outplaying that. That playing around those timers is really big, especially with the composition that LoLPro set themselves up with. Coast was like, all right, we're not going to care about the laning phase too much. No solo kills, you know, we're all good. We're just going to go even. Then we're going to strategically outplay.
Yep.
Because that is their card that they have over LoLPro. They basically threw down their card and they're like, oh, we're Coast. And LoLPro's like, we're LoLPro. And then the bottom of the card says, weakness is Coast.
Yes. The title effect, maybe?
Yep.
Having some...
Weak against water.
Weak against water. They're fire types. They got some fire underneath them, man.
Yeah, they do.
They're being put on the grill right now, and they don't want to get roasted. So, Chris, he's been key. He hasn't died yet either. No one's died from the side of Coast, excuse me. But he had a KDA of 29 coming into this as well. So, he's trying to keep those stats looking good. And this mid lane, Yasui, he still has been a poke factor, but not really doing too much. He's been a farming machine. Don't get me wrong, he's near perfect CS, but what else has he done?
Yeah, but when you look at like item spikes at this point, Trinity Force, Sork Shoes, Vamp Scepter.
Against, oh man.
Oh yeah.
Death Cap and Athenians.
Oh yeah.
You're going to have a tough time.
You're going to have a really bad time. It's like French frying when you want a pizza.
Getting some skiing lessons here.
Gonna have a bad time.
I'm down for it. Chris up top, though, he's going to transform. He's going to try to take down this tier 2 in the meantime as well. Does get it, and that is the last of the tier 2s. So now all they got to do is make it up to the inhibitors.
It's not that hard either with this team composition. Jez is just going to wave clear, and Paler has wave clear as well. Chris has mild wave clear. Nash has enough range and wave clear. Whereas if you look at the team of LoLPro, their wave clear options aren't as potent. They really just have Yasui, and then they have a little bit from Flares. It's a little riskier. And then Wiz Fusion's is shorter range too.
And Nash is just going in right now. Look at that. He gets the ball. He just chunks away at Flares, and they can't deal with the split either. They just leave Chris alone. He's able to just keep on pushing through towards that inhibitor turret. Keith McBreathe going to get ace in the hold. He can't heal himself, unfortunately. And look at that. They give the shield to Chris. Just hops away.
Shields everywhere. Shield for you. Shield for you.
Got Janna shield.
Two
Orianna
shields for you.
That's a really good combo, too. Janna and Orianna make for a really good dive composition. Look at that. The ball chugged away on ThinkCard, too. If he really wanted to commit it, he could have done Shockwave there. Chris transforms. He's able to tank that tier 3 if he wants, but not going to go completely for it, as they want to play this methodical and safe game.
That's Coast right there. Despite having a 13k gold lead 27 minutes into the game, they're still going to wait for the minion wave, still going to wait to tank this up because they know their advantage.
I love what they're doing, too. They just abuse Chris when he's Mega Gnar.
Well, they also have, look at that.
Traps.
Traps everywhere.
Traps, balls, everything you need. All sold at the Coast store.
Zoning potential across the board. Wave clear, look at this. They're going to have to try to engage.
Oh, Monsoon to disengage, but Mash is put down fairly low, and without Cataclysm, they can't initiate. They have Equalizer if they really want to, but you just sidestep away from that and you're good to go. But with Mash low, I believe he doesn't want to be the first death of the team, so I'm sure they're like, all right, Mash, go forward. Yeah, go ahead, be the first death.
Coast probably sitting there like, all right, whoever dies first has to buy Chipotle for everyone.
Burritos for all. And now, with this going forward, they send Mash back. He's not going to risk anything. They try to get into this. Mash right now is in the Cataclysm. They get a two-man Shockwave to try to cut away from this. Mash is taking down ThinkCard. Gnar using the Gnar ultimate. A Butch Flare towards Mash, and they do end up killing him with that. I'm not sure if that was a troll or not, but they're trying to disengage and stay alive. Chris is backing off, and Impaler slowing them down with the Void Spikes. The chase is on if they can get any closer, but it doesn't look like they can.
2 for 1 and great rotations out of the fight there by Coast. 2 members, 3 members with flashing HP bars in the top left. Still, not going to give up too much for that, though, because Dragon is up in a minute, and everybody else will be too. Flash is blown on the side of LoLPro and Coast, pretty much across the board, except for, Impaler still has his, Sheep still has his. ThinkCard didn't even get to use his.
Nope, he just died.
Yep, they're going to have those ready for the next Dragon fight.
I'm pretty sure Mash right now is going to be talking to his team, be like, why'd you kill me? Not Chris?
Huh?
Yeah.
Chipotle!
Chipotle. That's all I can picture Chris saying. But this is a good push from them. That tier 3 now, up top, is going to be very, very hurt. It's got about 100 health left. So we'll see if they can just commit to that later on. With Dragon and Baron coming up, like you said, this could be the next big objectives. And they can close out the game, possibly with the next Baron.
Yeah, I think they won't even have to have the Baron, but they still have a lot of options available despite that.
It's kind of just that pressure of knowing that they could lose Baron at any time.
Yeah.
And look at that, Keith, man. He's playing with his life.
Half HP, can't heal yourself.
He's going to need to pack it up in the Keith McBriefcase.
Ship it out, go home.
Gotta go home. But
thought he meant business, but nope.
His mind was telling him no, but his body was still hurt, so he had to go back as well.
Yeah. Has to go back to the base, heal himself up there. Getting some regen.
And they can't even get their blue. That's the third blue I believe they've stolen.
They've had complete control of that area. It's pretty much put a damper on what Yasui's been able to do this game in terms of poking with Corki. We haven't really seen the poking monster come out. He's kind of just, I jump in, and then I just do Corki things as if I was an AD carry, but not a hyper-scaling AD carry. It's not like a mid-lane Tristana back in the day.
The mid-game where he was supposed to shine, it came and gone in an instant.
Yeah, by the time he got his Trinity Force spike, Jez has already had a big AP damage item and a needlessly large rod that he was working.
And this red buff going to get smote away as Impaler does take it.
Means no Baron for a bit.
Yeah. They can't risk it. They can keep the pressure going, though. They have the wards. They have the control fully out there. And I'm surprised they're not committing more towards top. They've let a wave slowly build up there, too. So that could take down the turret if they want to keep pressuring down towards bot side. But they're just taking full control, man. This is crisp play.
No, Impaler, they don't see that ward off on the left side of that pink ward.
No one would really ward outside the pit.
Yeah, covering all your options is very hard inside that pit. You have to basically sweep 3 things.
Oh, they see him going in. This is the one and only time that LoLPro would be able to catch a sneak out here. Oh, a nice sweeper coming out from Sheep.
Couldn't pull the wool over his eyes.
No, you cannot. Chris transformed too into Mega Gnar. Looking to see if he can go in. Throwing out that boulder, but not going to find much.
Oh.
Look at that, just threatening.
Just flexing his Mega Gnar muscles.
The mega muscles, drink some mega milk.
Them gains.
Them gains, indeed. Drastic gains.
I know, right? I'm going to have to test Gnar after this match for illegal substances. Might be taking some steroids. Not allowed.
He was,
Mundo, what's that? What's that in your shoulder? What's that needle doing?
Mundoroids.
Oh, boy.
All right.
No, he just goes to the gym.
Yes. Works out pretty hard. And let's see. The wards are still there from Coast, so they have complete vision of Baron Pit. They're fine with it. They're going to back off, retreat, buy up, and honestly, I could see them just going straight for Baron. but
Yeah.
who wants to risk throwing it?
They cleared it. They have vision control of it. LoLPro didn't do anything in that area. And they just backed, purchased all their items, spent all their gold, bought some potions for themselves too. And now they're ready to go. Some elixirs are up. Mash has a blue pot as Caitlyn.
Huh.
He's ready to roll.
Some CDR. All right, I'm down.
Them wave clears.
The trap damage
Trap
increases
AP.
too. See some nice use of the scrying orb there too.
90 caliber net for the kill.
There you go. It's always fun. They look for Yasui. They get the slow out on top of him. A flag and drag forced out from Thinkard. They're just bursting him down. Look at that damage.
Ooh.
Chris transforms untimely though, but a good flash from Thinkard as he does get away from that Gnar.
Getting the turret.
Yep, that's the main goal here. Pushing into this base, trying to close something out. They're going straight towards Flare. Boulder Toss. Stun doesn't connect, but they're going all the way in. Impaler ace in the hole. Does pick up the kill for Mash as now he can just focus the inhibitor. Two-man shockwave comes in. Distance on top of it. That damage. Jesse picks up one. The other goes over to Impaler, and now that inhibitor is forfeit, and this is looking like game.
I don't know if they'll be able to get it off of this wave, though.
Not
It's
fully.
going to take a bit. They have 2 members still up. Yasui has some decent wave clear, and I don't really know if they have any waves in. I think it'll be a bit of a stall from LoLPro.
If anything, they're losing at least these Nexus turrets.
Yeah, these Nexus turrets, one's going to go down at least. And no, they're just
It's
going to
gonna
go for
be
that
2.
next one. They have so much tank.
Oh, 4-man Cataclysm comes in, but he just dies. He just melts it completely. Yasui's gonna be the next target, and Ace comes out. Match Me gets it, and that's game.
Yeah, I was thinking just like LoLPro was, they can't end it right now. We'll just wave clear, but there it goes. Coast is going to take game 1.
All right, so that's a very strong way to start off. You show yourself how strong you are on Coast, and man, that's methodical by definition. 16-1 was it at the end of the game?
Yeah.
Just what do you do to combat that?
Well, first off, you don't use your TP to get back in the lane when Chris isn't using his to do so.
You forfeit a little bit of creeps.
Yeah, you walk in, you're like, all right, I missed some CS.
Woo, I can farm more.
And otherwise, you're like, oh, I missed 2 kills and a dragon,
Yeah.
which is a little bit worth more.
That might have been the nail in the coffin early on too.
Yeah, and especially with what the win conditions that the win conditions each team had set up for themselves. Sorry, English is hard sometimes.
It's a very complicated.
I'm glad they put me on the desk. My English has improved. So, just the way that they played their win conditions on both sides, you could definitely see that Coast knew what they were doing. They had a very comfortable, methodical style, and then LoLPro was trying to play as a team, but they're all just very mechanically sound at what they do, and they're all like, let's win lane. Let's win lane. That's their whole go-to strategy. And when you're playing against a team that's like, we're okay with losing lane by 10 CS, you're just not going to kill me, and then they group up and fight and they win, it's really frustrating to play against if your style is just go kill people.
All right, so we got to think about the next game. What's going to happen in this pick spans phase? It should be coming up on the screen for you guys. Are they going to take away the Gnar? Chris played it phenomenally.
You would hope so.
You would hope so indeed. I mean, taking away 3 things from Yasui and you still can't find a comfort pick? Actually, I believe Flair's Rumble is one of his comfort picks. Yeah, it is. But not being able to take down a Gnar is so tough.
Yeah, Gnar is one of those champions that just excels at pretty much everything in the top lane right now, except for TP usage, but that's relying on the player to manage their rage.
Yeah.
It's not one of those gimmies where it's like, I'm going to have a good laning phase because I'm Gnar. I'm going to be able to be good in team fights because I'm Gnar. It's like, I'm going to have okay teleport usage, but if I'm a really good player and play around that and know my timings and how much rage I can generate, how quickly and at what levels, because that increases as you go up in level, how fast you get it, really on the player there, and Chris played around that perfectly.
So the bans flew on through again, so it's going to be that Rengar, Maokai, and Xerath. So nothing too unfamiliar from the last game. Gnar, Zed, and Syndra, though, from the side of Coast, do not want to have Chris play up against Gnar. I'm pretty sure he would have a tough time, too. That champion is very, very strong.
Yeah, Jace is still up, which is something that's a little confusing to me.
Oh, they wanted it.
Yeah, it immediately goes through. I was sitting there going, you know what, Yasui would want to take Jace. I would assume first pick.
But they picked Corki
But they picked
instead.
Corki, which Corki right now is probably the top AD carry, considering there have been a lot of just kind of pushbacks on power for late game carries. Tristana has worse scaling now. Sivir, it's kind of like, I have a little more lane pressure, but Corki's still really good. Just all the hyper carries or people that we saw being played had some scale backs on them. We just saw Caitlyn in that last game. We saw Graves in that last game. People are experimenting with new things and trying to bring it out.
So the Jace gets snagged up by Coast. They pick Janna as well. Sheep's comfort pick there. We're going to see him, once again, just keep applying shields and peel away.
Also, Lucian took some nerfs in this patch as well for AD ratios and mana costs on E, as well as timing. So yeah, we do see Sheep once again on the disengage, but disengage combined with poke is extremely good, because the thing that counters poke is hard engage. If you have disengage, just shut that down.
Fine. So, let's see. Jarvan goes to Thinkard again, so we'll see if he can maybe get something going for him this time. Thresh is picked up for Keith McBrief, and I like the Corki Thresh lane if they want to do it. If Yusui takes Corki mid again, I might have to have a word with him just a little bit because it didn't work last time. He farmed up. Don't get me wrong. He farmed phenomenally. Yes. The only thing was, even though he wave cleared, they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it was, but he was really their only wave clear tool against a team that had so much wave clear across the board with longer ranges than their counterparts in the enemy team.
So they hover over the Heimerdinger. I know Mashmer's just trolling a bit, but I would love to see Heimer, don't get me wrong. The Mega Turret is amazing. You know, you get those extra rocket barrage. The bouncing grenade, too, is something you don't ever want to watch out for. I love explaining Heimerdinger, but I just get crushed when they don't pick him.
Yeah, then you have to memorize all the numbers on the abilities as a play-by-play. You're just like, oh, it's the H28.
I would be like, it's just the Mega Turret. All right, but Rumble is going to come out for Chris up top. We'll see him take that one. And Lucian with the Janna. All right.
Yep. Pretty much a standard lane that we've been seeing for a very long time since Janna came back into play. And people are like, she's extremely powerful. He makes a great usage with his Light Slinger on the shield. So the fact that he gets
another
that
good
extra,
one, too.
Exactly, because he applies the Tidecaller's Blessing twice is really good.
So now thinking Corki and Thresh versus Janna. Lucian, you got to be a little careful of the death sentences, but the shield, the harass that Janna can do, AP that you know Sheep is going to have in his kit too, because he loves going AP on that Janna. Maybe even early Soul Stealer, we could see that come out too.
I love that
if they do well.
I love that item. I think that item is fantastic. And if the fact that the AP scaling, like you said on Janna, is just so good,
yep.
Why not buy a pretty cheap AP item that just gives you more AP as you just slap shields on people?
All you do is slap a shield, run away. Slap a shield, run away. Slap a shield, run away. Let them kill, let them get the assist.
From the challenger support main. Just slap a shield, run away. Slap a shield, run away.
That's all you got to do is Janna, man. And then, you know, just Monsoon, as soon as someone jumps in, you're like, R. You're good to go. But I like the pickup and the idea of the Ahri coming into mid lane for Yasui, and then Irelia for Flares up top. That is one of his best top laners as well.
Yeah, Flares is one of the better Aurelias in this tournament. I think there's only probably like one person who even like comes close to him. Yeah,
Not Chump John. Oh man, I can't remember anymore.
Which team?
Can't remember the team either.
We got Hanser, we got Chris, we got Maknoon.
Rux.
Rux.
I don't think Rux,
but
not Rux, but
he's one of the best Aurelia players in this tournament, regardless of what we were saying before. So Yusui, he's going to pick up that Ahri for himself against Jez's. And Jez's knows this champion inside and out. Like, Ahri is his bae.
Is his bae?
Is his bae. Like, before any other assassin.
Okay, okay. Now we just need the jungler for Impaler to see what he wants to go for to counter out this Jarvan again. So just go straight back to the Impaler. To the Impaler, to the Kha'Zix.
Yeah, well, it does Impale. He's got spikes.
There we go.
So Impaler played 2 games of Rengar. Now he's going to play 2 back-to-back games of Kha'Zix. He's kind of just flexing his muscles on different champions. He hasn't had to just diversify his champion pool too much. You know, he is that kind of Lee Sin main with Rengar up there as well because people keep banning his Lee Sin. No Lee Sin bans this game. So he's pretty much had his pick of the litter. They just are like, we saw your Rengar, it's very scary. We saw your Kha'Zix, we're still more afraid of the Rengar. And you can't throw too many bans at the jungle right now because of how potent top laners are.
Even mid lane.
Yeah.
Zed,
top lane, mid lane,
Syndra?
Just draw more attention, especially in matchups like these where the mid laner on like Yasui's side and also Jez's, they have these champion pools that you're like, we don't want to deal with your huge wave clear. We don't want to deal with your assassin, Yasui. So they throw bans at those as opposed to the jungler who's trying to influence lanes.
All right, guys. So now is the time where you come in. If you guys want to tweet at us with your predictions, what you think of these picks and bans, and who you think is going to come out ahead, tweet at LOL Esports using the hashtag LCS expansion, and get your ideas out there. What you think is going to come out? Is it going to be a 3-game set? Is it going to be a 2-0? Is Coast just going to advance like that?
Yeah, 2-0, maybe 2-1. We'll have to see because Team LoLPro, they just looked a little scattered. They were beaten and crushed kind of that game.
Yep.
Whereas Coast were just very methodical, playing to their strengths, playing to their style of play.
Yep.
And then they got another team composition this game that's kind of pokey with some disengage, but they also have some team fight prowess. The worst feeling in the world is where you're getting poked out by a Jace, slowed by a Kha'Zix, disengaged by a Janna, and then eventually when you try to do something, you're just like, we're just going to take the dragon. Rumble Ultimate comes on top of you. It's really, really bad. And Coast is the type of team that will execute that strategy very quickly and without hesitation.
I already like LoLPro's picks, though. You can facilitate Jarvan so much easier with Charm, Equilibrium Strike, Death Sentence. You pull him at the Lantern. This is already a better composition for me, at least. But, you know, Coast, like you said, poke, engage, they have it all.
Yeah, it's a little more pick-oriented here on LoLPro's team. They have some poke. They have a little bit more wave clear in terms of just Yasui's going to have all of that AP damage later on.
And they're trying to go for a little early play, get some wards down. That's going to be spotting out blue, so it could get the timer as well. If Coast don't keep mind of that, I'm sure Sheep is like, all right, it's warded. We'll make sure to not do anything crazy. And Impaler could also start red if he wants.
I don't know if that ward will actually get them the timer because it was placed at around 1 minute.
1 minute, yeah.
So it would disappear at 2. So you pretty much figure out which one he's at.
So track his path.
Yeah, unless he kills it in 5 seconds, he's just the most incredible jungler in the world.
Hey, man, you get those buffs from Janna
Full
Shield.
AD!
I wouldn't be surprised. And both junglers already getting a little aggressive down here.
Oh.
But Flares is there, too, though. That's not the support I was looking for. But
Trying to pull a noble truth with the Poppy in the bot lane.
Hey, that worked out really well.
It did work out. They were having fun with that, too. I talked to them afterwards, and they were like, that was hilarious!
The legends.
Because Otter just overextended that game. But it was a move you're supposed to do. So now we're going to see Flares actually back, walk himself up to the top lane, or is he going to TP? Is it going to be another teleport from Flares early on? It is.
Oh, it is? Oh.
It is going to be that TP.
Well, nothing's going to be pressured early on, so why not?
Yeah.
So don't miss out on anything.
It's not that big of a deal to use a teleport this early on in the game. When you use it in a couple minutes from now, then it's a problem. The thing is that if he gets poked out by Chris, he's going to have to walk it. It's a walk of shame then.
Yeah. He's got to walk it off and think about it. Think about what he messed up in lane. This bot lane already, you know? Janna, the shields, Mashmi knows how to utilize it perfectly on Lucian and just keep them pressed back. Keith McBrief is going to have a tough time on this Thresh. Janna is just so passive, you can't look for a death sentence.
It's really crazy, too, that Sheep has been defaulting to Janna more and more recently. Even though his main champion is Thresh, he was known as a Thresh player when he was having his little stint in the LCS on XDG.
And it looks like actually early on, the flash from Jesus was blown as Thinkard went from a red to level 2 gank in mid.
Yep. And sometimes that's the Jarvan route, is that you immediately go mid with that red buff and you try to make something happen. You're not usually going to get punished for it either.
It's like the early Pantheon back in the day. Back in the solo queue days.
Nobody expects it. You get ganked and you die. People are like, who does that anymore? This isn't season 3.
It's all chat spam. But Thinkard now with his doubles, he's looking to make the aggression happen. He is so confident in his early play. Like, he's already going towards top. Flares is doing a bunch of damage to Chris here. The 10 style, level 3. Just that true damage, man. It whittles you away, and you have a tough time dealing with it.
I want to see what he maxes first, whether it's going to be the E, the Equilibrium Strike, or the W, the hit 10 style, because we saw mix and matches at Worlds, and a lot of people were having success with maxing the Equilibrium Strike for the magic damage, and also the fact that it increases the duration of the slow and the stun, I believe up to 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, it's depending on how much HP you're missing, I believe.
No? You just have to be lower than them in HP, and then you stun as opposed to slow. And then whichever rank you have in it ups the duration.
I thought it was like a percentage of your HP missing. I must have been playing it really wrong the entire time. But
of your HP missing or theirs?
Of your.
Oh, wow. So it's like a 1% long stun!
30 seconds, let's go.
Comeback mechanic.
Exactly. But already counter-jungling coming in from both sides. We saw Wraiths being stolen from Impaler and from Thinkard, so they're being a little aggressive. The Soul Wraith again, he has to relive the nightmare of his family being slaughtered. Game after game.
He's a Wraith, too. I'm pretty sure maybe he's already died once.
Okay.
How is a Wraith even made?
Hashtag League of Legends problems.
It's an undead.
It's an undead. Losing. Well, then how do they die in the beginning?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Maybe he just watched his family die for the second time.
Oh,
anyway,
geez.
regardless, Coast might be just standing there watching themselves kill LoLPro for a second time today.
So it's going to be another passive game. Huh?
Segways.
Segways, indeed. Have you ever ridden a Segway?
No, I haven't.
It's fun. All right, so this top lane matchup, it looks like it's fairly even as well. Irelia is able to sustain up. The mid lanes, keeping even as well. There's going to be no discrepancy between Yasubi and Jez's. And then down bot, again, even.
And this top lane Flares, like we said, his TP will be up before anything is really pushed into him. He is taking some decent damage there, Chris, just eating a full. And he has this big mini wave pushing into him, too.
Keith was looking for a death sentence there. Was Fusion's going to respond? Howling Gale is forcing out the flash. Exhaust as well comes in. Mash is going to dash right on through with that relentless pursuit. They pop the heal. They're going to go through Piercing Light. Auto attack comes in and Sheep gets it. Oh, man. A breath of wind.
Meanwhile, up top, though, this huge minion wave was stacked by Chris. Impaler came around, warded inside of where the white is. And look at this, I can't even talk about because Jesse is going in.
Exhaust comes out as well. It's looking to go through the charm as Jesse is going to transform back into that Rage Dance Shock Blast. Nice juke from Yasui.
Yeah, great job from Yasui to not go immediately by the turret because that kind of just pigeonholes you into a certain route. So he backs himself off for just a second and jukes that Shock Blast acceleration gate.
So, well played from every lane as the aggression just came out simultaneously 6 minutes in. And with that dive up top, Chris is going to be feeling pretty happy. He's going to get really close to that haunting, guys. Impaler with a deep ward as well is going to try to steal his white, but cannot find it with the void spikes. And he's already found that minor level advantage.
Yep, level advantage pretty much across the board here for the members of Coast. This bottom lane, the aggression paying off with Fusion, still level 4. And then the mid lane, Yusui, just hitting his 6 now. That does give him an ultimate advantage over Jess's because Jace ultimate doesn't really do anything for you.
Yeah, you don't really want to level it up early either. Just get as much burst as possible.
Just do as much damage, get as much of your kit as you can. Just take it to the enemy. Chris, meanwhile, he now has his ultimate.
Look at that.
He knows the flash is down too.
Yeah, and Flares is going back in on this.
Up.
Think card is coming from the river, so this could be interesting. I believe Chris could win this with Impaler coming up too.
Yeah, and the fact that Flares is a little bit behind in levels is going to be really big. No flash. Impaler off on the wings.
So Flares, he's by himself. Thinkard is not coming up. This could be a very, very important kill.
All Chris has to do is land the Equalizer and some harpoons, and then it's almost a guaranteed kill.
So,
there he goes.
Equalizer comes on through. Flares is going to pop that ultimate, try to sustain up a bit. He tries to turn for the Equilibrium Strike, does get it onto Impaler. They're going to keep the Flame Spitter going, and this dive is not going to work out if they tried.
He stunned the right person there. Flares using the Equilibrium Strike onto Impaler and not Chris, because Impaler's the one who has more slows at close range.
Yep.
After the harpoons had been used by Chris.
He's got to be careful not to die after escaping that gank. So he'll eat a little bit of the Electro Harpoons, but he's got to be mindful. And Thinkard's not even 6, so Cataclysm isn't even relevant in this mid lane.
Jesus still has his flash available to deal with Yusui, who brought the Ignite, so he's looking for that aggressive lane, looking for that pressure.
And the pressure is mounting from this Rumble, man. Flares can't lane.
Well, Flares end up backing, and he bought 2 Doran's Blades as his items to deal with what's going to be soon a Haunting Guise from Chris. Aurelia's that have to buy those items, it definitely changes the timing on your Trinity Force, and you're just like, I want to survive in lane. But he's just kind of CSing against Chris, and they're even.
Calling comes out from Mash, just a little bit of poke coming through. Instead of prioritizing that farm, he wants to get Wiz Fusion out of that lane as soon as possible. And we're not going to see anything crazy build-wise, you know, it's just going to be the Infinity Edge for Mash, and then the Trinity Force for Wiz. And with that pink ward, there's nothing there to spawn out that dragon, and it looks like they'll be able to sneak it in.
Yeah, LoLPro just has to make a call and get there very quickly. Looks like Thresh was kind of fainting towards that side, but no. Support's gone in the bot lane. They leave the Lucian to just follow if there is a problem. And that's just a free dragon for Coast at that point. They didn't really give up too much at all. No lane pressure was given up in the making of that dragon.
No, that early first blood coming in from Sheep helps him out so much. He gets that early sight stone, he's able to keep the wards out and keep complete vision control on the spot side of the map.
Yusui, he's trying to keep pressure on. He does have a CS advantage here in the mid lane, which is the only thing he really has going for him. There's the charm!
Flag and Dragon. Oh, he missed the combo, but he goes in with the Cataclysm afterwards anyway, and just going through with the Spirit Rush.
He's gonna eat another!
Picks the kill, and oh, the turret is gonna be able to pick off Jezzy's.
Thinkard missing the Flag and Drag combo, and then having the Cataclysm afterwards, not getting the knockup. Yeah, it definitely cost him his life there, Jezzy with the flash away. So Yusui now has a big advantage in this lane, though, in the mid, because he has Ignite still, because he has Flash still. If he lands Charms onto Jez's, it's pretty much a chunk guarantee to about half HP.
And in the meantime, Wiz Fusion was forced back with Keith the Brief, so Mash just gets some free time alone with that turret and just takes it down.
It's still about a 2.6k gold lead for Coast already at the start of the game. These Dragons have been doing wonders for them in the early game. Wiz Fusion not getting him.
No. He had an auto attack ready to go there, but I guess he clicked the ground instead and it went straight to the creep.
Instead of using his E towards the bush, he just used it towards the minion wave there, threw a missile in, and was just like, okay, I guess they're not there, because he just barely missed them. Because they both back, this is some pressure on this turret, and Thinkard's going to come up and not just get a gank on a champion, it's gank on the turret. Never saw this coming.
Attack on turrets. So they won't be able to take this one out if Sheep gets in time for the shield. Yep, there it goes. And the TP coming in for Chris behind. Oh, that Shrine Rush ward. Baltoon used to disengage. He stopped the flag and drag. Oh, no, he didn't actually. He knocked the card back. The Equalizer comes through. Chris picks up that one kill. Looking for more. They're going under Keith Brief. Harpoon slowing him down. They're going to toss the kill over to Bash, and he does pick up that one. Looking for more. Wiz Fusion gets ignited, and Sheep is just kiting away. Howling Gale connects, and a double kill for Mash.
That was an incredible teleport by Chris, but also at the same time, Sheep used his Howling Gale to stop the The Lantern! It was incredible.
Oh, it was a Lantern.
That was a Lantern. He was taking the Lantern, and he Howling Galed him out of it.
Oh, Impaler's is going to come in stealth now, looking for Yasui, but he's just spirit rushing away, trying to get that orb. The Ignite's taken away. He does pick up the kill. Flashes, but a flash into response from Impaler. The orb is disconnected. He dies to the turret. A double kill and a 2-for-1.
So close, just bloody, just everybody coming out of the gates at this point in the game. It's like mid-game, fight, fight, fight. Everybody's going really hard now.
Gotta say, some really good aggression coming out, and even better play. Yasui, the child prodigy, man. Once he hit 17, he was ready to play in the Challenger Series. Challenger scene, and now they're looking for Think Hard. That damage, so huge coming in with the shield and a pickaxe and a BF sword.
It's a fadeaway light slinger there.
Yep.
Just, here, take some light.
So, he's 3-0-2 as well on this Lucian down bot. Chris is also pressuring Flares out. He doesn't have Equalizer up just yet, but when he has it, Flares is most likely going to die.
Yeah. Flares does have his flash, though. You know, he could flash away from... But Chris, his play in this top lane, his teleport usage has been so good. When I was talking to people about Chris, they were always saying, you know, he's not, like, the most flashy top laner. His biggest strength was his gank assistance in lane and also his teleport usage. So he's not like, I'm going to try to all-in you all the time. He's like, no, I'm going to be very calculated about this. And I actually think Chris has been getting better as he's been playing. He was in the LCS at one point on Velocity, and I've actually just seen improvement from him since then.
Just not stop. He's one of the most consistent top laners in the Challenger scene. So, using his experience in the LCS fairly well, they're going to be able to get this tier 1 down, and Flares, he used his teleport earlier on, so he couldn't get back to that lane in time to save it.
Yeah, and it really just shows how good his teleport usage is and how much Flares has kind of been off on his when you just compare the two side by side in this game and what they've been getting out of their teleports. I get back to lane for Flares. Chris affects a different lane, doesn't lose too much, stays even in CS, but comes up with kills and assists and just gets his team ahead. It's a team effort, and that's a team fight-oriented summoner spell.
So, with the TPs down and dragging up in a minute and 40 seconds, we're going to see who can prioritize what, as this red buff man is just being stolen again, possibly. Mash is looking for it. The Demacian standard is not enough. He couldn't get in range to smite, as it was on cooldown as well. So Mash just taking full control with Sheep here.
Well, he's also just level 6.
Oh,
Big Card just now hits him into Wiz Fusion.
He's going for these golems.
I don't know how much catch potential they actually have, though. It would have to be like a quick Howling Gale.
They're contemplating it. They're like, they know he's Valkyrie, so they're like, yeah, we won't.
Oh, Wiz Fusion knows, because he's like, why was it walking that way? That, like, he de-aggroed that golem, and it's like, I'll run towards this bush. Nope.
Interestingly enough, they're going to lose their blue buff on top of this. Try to toss it over to Jesse's, or just default to giving it to Impaler with his smite.
Just the other golem going over to... No golems are safe on this map.
Nope. So
blue buff still up for Coast, and that will most likely go over to Chez's to help him stack that tier.
I gotta say, though, this is like a repeat of last game, except there's a little bit more deaths, about, 2 more. Yeah. So they're taking full control of the map. They're getting the buffs, they're getting the blues and reds, and just taking control of the Dragon Pit as well. Like, this is more calculated play from Coast.
So something I want to bring attention to here for LoLPro is Yasui. 3-1-0, highest CS in the game, has his DFG. There is pick potential here for this Ahri if he can catch somebody.
Yep.
If he finds somebody, it would get a big advantage for LoLPro in a Dragon, and that could get them back into this game. Chris is kind of the catalyst here for Coast. Mash has a lot of damage, but Chris is going to be the one kind of setting up these fights and forcing LoLPro into a position that Mash can take advantage of. So right now, watch Yasui, watch his picks and what he sets up, or if Think Card goes too hard, and then on Coast, watch where the Equalizer comes out and watch the positioning of Mash.
They're just going straight for Dragon here. This is going to be a big fight. Teleport is available for Flares. It just came off cooldown, but it's just too slow. The Dragon just gets immediately bursted down.
Yep. No way to get a pick there. No bush setups from LoLPro. Nothing. So they just give over that Dragon. They trade a turret for it. It's a 5k gold advantage 15 minutes into the game here. Flares continuing to push this top lane. This Aurelia is not showing up in fights, and he's not even going to get a Trinity Force first item. He's getting chunked out too hard. He goes for the Hex Drinker. 2 Doran's Blade, Hex Drinker. Now he's on a Phage. He's just now starting towards his early/mid-game power spike on Aurelia, which is extremely potent, but now it's going to be so delayed that by the time he gets it, Coast is going to have tools to deal with it.
Oh, they're going to try to deal with his fusion down here. Keith didn't even see him going down to the brush. The red buff is going to slow him down. A good Lantern immediately coming out, saving Wiz. So, I like what they're trying to do. They're trying to be sneaky, but, taking a safer AD in that Corki is just really strong.
Yeah, the safer AD and Corki is a really good pickup there. I was really surprised that they didn't first pick the Jace for themselves because Yasui's comfortable on that champion, and also taking it away from Jess's because it just fills his wave clear poke type of routine. You ban out things like Xerath, you're leaving up an AD poke champion for him.
But I believe the Ahri is a good response to Jace either way because he doesn't have any innate escape ability with a jump or anything like that. He's got the gate, but you have to turn around and actually put that down, and Ahri can just chase no problem. So the mid lane matchup worked out pretty well for him. He's got that advantage, he's got 3 kills, but with everybody grouping up from the side of Coast, they want to try to pressure down this mid as it's the last tier 1 standing.
Yeah, but also at the same time, when you pair that Jace with something like a Janna, it's really hard to get in, and once you get in, Rumble's going to have something to say about your backline.
Yep. He'll zone you away with an equalizer, and we'll see if he can bring that to fruition. As everybody is still grouping around towards mid, they're just playing that poke game, man. It's like Jez has got lucky in a game of ARAM, and she's like, all right, shock blasted down mid all day.
Jace is like one of the only champions that I can go deathless in an ARAM with and be like, I still got my starting items.
They use the equalizer, the zoning equalizer to come out, and that's just a free tier 1. They can't do anything. Destin's connects mid jump, Charm on top of it, and Paler's gonna take a little bit of damage, but a good shield from Sheep as can't really do much off that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the fact that he's going for the Hex Drinker next on Impaler's side means he's not going to get chunked out too quickly by Yasui. Yasui is really relying on that DFG at this point, but he hasn't gotten to use it yet.
Nope.
Highest CS in the game, DFG, ready to rock on Ahri, but the positioning has been something that is really rough to get because Coast likes to group.
They like to get those early groups and try to just keep forcing the objectives like they have been, so. An example of that was that tier 1. And trying to catch people out with Ahri against Janna is still pretty hard. Unless Janna gets charmed, you're not going to see anybody dying. She's just going to monsoon you away during one of the spirit rushes. She can interrupt with Howling Gale, so.
Oh, we've been seeing Sheeps play on Janna today.
It's crisp.
Yeah,
clean.
His flash monsoon to just spread the 3 people out at that bottom tier 1 turret, and then also interrupting the lantern with a Howling Gale.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. That's one of the harder things to do on the Janna. But as everybody retreated from mid and finally gave up their siege, that was just a time for LoLPro to sneak in and get themselves their second turret of the game.
Flair still just being reserved for that top lane farm. He wants to do what Aurelia's should be doing at this point. Just get his Trinity Force. He's really behind on that item, considering what he bought early just to survive.
Yeah, it's so rough for him right now, but he's found a minor
they're trying to collapse
CS
on him, though.
Uh-oh. If they do pick up this kill, it could be pretty big. The Shock Blast does not connect. Yeah. There's Flash right through the white wall, and he's fine.
Yeah, that's the thing, is he's so far
Big
up.
card might not be fine, though. Shock Blast not going to connect through the gate, though, but he gets chunked out. It doesn't matter. Mash was there, picks him up with an easy crit in the Shiv. Culling coming through, not connecting, just tickling Flares a bit, but a beautiful equalizer comes in from Chris. Flares turns around, he just submits himself to the Mash God, and that is going to be one quick kill after another as Mashme's zoning away more. They give him this blue buff. Sheep goes over the wall. Howling Gale doesn't connect, and Yasui's barely able to get away.
And when you want to pick people off like that with this team composition that LoLPro has, yeah, the thing is, too, is that Yasui could have flashed, because he flashed a second after his Orb of Deception came back. Yep. Could have flashed to reposition it to hit Sheep because he moved off the left, but at the same time, he still gets away with his life. But look at that. It looks like Coast is going straight for this Baron. There's not much answer here from LoLPro that's even possible. Nope, without Spirit Rush, no flash for Yasui. They can't even attempt to try to steal this. As it comes in, TP comes out from Flares. Wait a minute. Okay, cancel it. Charm gonna stop Mash from chasing, and they do force a disengage. Oh, Keith McBreathe packing it up, going down back to the base, and oh, it's not looking good again. Yeah, when they kill your top laner, and then he TPs in, and then he cancels it, that's a go sign for that team, because they're gonna go, oh, okay, he's actually not coming. 4 on 5, go. Yep. He's back at the base. That was a 3 on 5 as well. Yeah. So it's even worse. Even worse indeed. But that's a Baron up. That's Coast taking a strong lead at 9,000 gold. Even if you can't count well, it's still a good fight for your team. How many people were there again? I don't know. Less than us. That's all you need to know. It's all about the odds. Heavily in the favor of Coast right now. 11-3 into kills. They've been stealing buff after buff, and the ward control, man, their vision game is on point. That whole blue area has 5 wards in total all over it. Yeah, and you can see pink wards across the inventory here for Coast. Once again, Mash, he's got the blue pot. This guy likes his CDR. It works well in Lucian. Don't get me wrong, more piercing lights, you're able to pursue even faster. So, this tier 1, is it going to go down? Range creeps, they're the heroes. And they do get something, at least for LoLPro. It's a really uphill battle now for LoLPro. 8K down. over Coast, who's a team that doesn't give up gold leads. They just, once they're in the lead, they know how to close games out. They don't fall prey to where people are like, okay, we're not going to be able to close this out. We don't know how to wave clear, how to split between lanes. Coast knows how to do that. They just play it very methodically. They're like, all right, there's no rush. We don't have to push that yet. You don't have to face tank this turret. Let's get Baron first, guarantee our victory, because it's a very important game and you don't want to have to skid around these things and these kind of chance factors where what if they engage while I'm taking the turret and I can't get out and they mess up my jump or something.
Yeah, they're not the team that's going to dive at tier 3.
They don't
feel
risk
like, yeah.
They rarely do.
Nope. Tier 2 goes down bot, and this is going to be the continual push. They still have that Baron for about half his duration, and they're going to keep going. Culling comes through chunking away, looking for Yasui with some of that damage. He's already down about below half, and the push is on, and that blue pot was used, so lower cooldown on Culling. Just keep using it. While Flares, he's filling that split pushing role. He's just gone straight for his boots after that mallet ends. They use the equalizer to zone ThinkCard and keep it brief away. This is just great play for them, not risking anything, just keeping it going strong, and this is going to be a free inhibitor for them, and if they really want to keep pushing, Flares doesn't have TP, so he'd have a long way to go back.
Yeah, ThinkCard's got nothing this game. 0-4-1, 70 CS Jarvan. He just now got his boots too, and he just now got a Warden's Mail for himself. This guy has no HP in the tank. This Jarvan doesn't do damage. He's not very durable at all. And if he is durable, Rumble's still just going to melt right through him.
Yep. Rylai's, Sork Shoes, and now a Leandri's picked up, so...
basically doing true damage to this Jarvan.
Yeah, there's no locket either, so there's not magic resist coming in. It's tough. No magic resist at all, actually, coming out, except for the Mercury Treads on Flares.
Yes, that's a really, really big thing for Chris. He's able to just shred through this lineup. We saw how much damage that equalizer just did to that team. 10k gold advantage. Coast, man, you know there's that saying where it's like, oh, you give them a finger, they take a whole arm or whatever. Now it's like, you even look at them, they're just going to take your soul. They're just taking all of it.
The Thresh is on the other team, though. Plus is even out. Wait a minute.
Coast just don't let up once they get a lead. They're a team that knows how to push it. And I've already said it once before, but I can't say it enough. So I'll say it again.
Just keep on drilling it into people's minds that Coast will not risk a thing when they're ahead.
Yeah, they play very methodically. But it's not boring either, right? They're just like, they're constantly doing something on the map. They constantly have an objective in their sights. They're very focused on what they want. They always have a purpose when they're moving around the map. Like right now, their purpose is get some ward coverage, stop them from getting to this tier 2, push up with Chris, get the wave clear, and get to this turret, and then take it out with Mash.
Yep, they're getting straight towards this turret now. This tier 2 is going to be forfeit, and LoLPro, this is the final
Flares.
straw. Yeah, Flares is just pushing away. He's got to have that Trinity Force at this point. Yasui gets poked out completely by that culling, and this tier 3 might just be forfeit, and the inhibitor might follow suit. They're using the Monsoon to heal up straight on through. They use the equalizer to zone as well. Keith McBrief looking for a death sentence. They get the flag and Dragon. A Cataclysm out of 1, but they just flash out. It doesn't matter. Match Me is dominating 6-0-3. It looks like this tier 3 is going to fall, and oh man. LoLPro, man. Flares, he still hasn't backed.
Nope. No Trinity Force for him yet, and that's going to be a turret going down very quickly. Jez is with the Hypercharge.
Death Sentence connects, and Paler just jumps on in. The crit's coming out. Mash picks up a kill. Looking for more. He tries to get the piercing line in. Flares is finally into the fight. He's doing what he can. He's forcing out some spells, but they get the inhibitor, no problem. He's going to try to chase this through with that newly picked up Trinity Force. It doesn't matter. Chris just melts on through. He's on a killing spree. Gonna take down Wiz Fusion, and Flares, he's got to go back and heal. Yasui is there. It doesn't matter. Shock Blast from Jez is able to snipe off that one, and a 3 for none. Inhibitor, tier 3. I don't know what to say.
You can say, Ghosts look pretty good. They look pretty good. It could be a scientific thing, too. You could be like, judging by my observations, I think they're pretty good.
So, LoLPro, they're on the back foot. They're going to have the problem of dealing with those Super Creeps pushing on down on the side lanes, and then once they get towards mid, Coast can just shove on in.
Yeah, and Coast have hit some power spikes too. The Muramana in the inventory, the last Whisper for Jez he is ready to just poke people out. And he has a QSS just in case he gets caught.
Yep.
Which is really big, because when you catch a Jace, you're like, all right, we got their backline, we got their poke. Now we can finally siege them. At this point, he's going to be very safe. It's going to be very hard to deal with him. And even if LoLPro do catch him a couple times, it's going to take a lot for them to get back into this game. 40 seconds on Baron, but I don't even think Coast needed at this point. They have super minions pushing on both sides of the map. They just have this middle turret in their sights, and they're ready to rock.
Okay, so they forced the QSS out with that death sentence, but again, nothing they can really look to do here.
And it's that max second W on Jess's there. So he has that hypercharge, 130% damage for 2.5 attack speed, 3 attacks. You're chunking a turret, 390% of your attack damage in like 1.2 seconds.
Yep.
Really, really potent.
And now they just make their way down towards bot. Why push in mid? There's a turret there when you can just make your way down towards a nice deal of the day in that free inhibitor bot. And even the Electro Harpoons from Chris are just whittling away. Look at Keith McBrief can't do anything. He's just destroyed in the health pool, and they're taking some time with this. They're getting poked out just a bit. They have that barrier region helping them out quite a bit, and that is the inhibitor with that last auto attack going down. Shock blasts are connecting. Thinkard and Yasui. Oh man, this is a dirty, dirty combo. Genesis is playing phenomenally right now.
Look at this type of just methodical play. They're going back and forth. They're like, all right, looks like Baron's live. And they don't actually have a Baron buff on them at this moment. Oh, it's just a little graphical error. Or graphical just kind of bug.
Well, that's a long Baron duration.
I know, that Baron's lasted forever. New Baron's crazy. No. They're going to go get a Baron buff and for themselves, and then they're going to start sieging back up. They're going to go towards that mid lane. Just the efficiency of this team. They're like a lion. They kind of just bide their time, and then they jump.
This is the African plane right now. And the innocent zebra, or LoLPro, backwards calling through the gate. He's having fun. You know, they already feel like victory is in their grasp. Death Sentence connects in from Keith McBrief, but they can't chase up onto Impaler. They can't really do anything right now. It's just the slow, painful death. They're going straight for the jugular. And they do take that tier 3 down. They're looking for something. Keith McBrief is going to take a bunch of damage coming in from this Kha'Zix. Impaler doing some work. The Equalizer used the zone out with his fusion to do some damage. They use the Cataclysm in it, but he just gets bursted. It doesn't matter. Chris is on a rampage. Shock Blast connects to the Ardent Blaze, the side of it connecting. Legendary Co-Smash Me. And that is going to be a double kill for him, and it looks like this is going to be all but game. Yasui going to get chunked out by this Flame Spitter. Chris can't secure the kill, but that's it. Next is going to fall, and that's going to be a 2-0 for Coast as they chase down into the final bloodthirsty killing flares. They're
just padded KDAs at this point. Coast, you can see from the backwards culling.
It's a choo-choo train.
They're really just going all around right now, just kind of having a victory lap around that base for themselves, but they're going to end it right here. They're going to go after this Nexus, and it looks like Coast going to take it 2-0.
Oh, shit dies! Ooh. That's his first death, man. He had 14 assists, 1 kill.
There we go. Finally, Coast decide to just put them out of their misery and say, you know what, it's over. It's 2-0.
Yep.
And they move on to be in that top 4, so they will compete in the offline portion of the tournament. Best of 5s, double elimination, and they are tournament favorites to make it out of that.
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually did advance. After that performance, man, what do you do against that?
Yeah, so far 4-0 throughout the round stages, throughout the groups and the brackets. So they are looking extremely strong.
Indeed. If they keep up the methodical play, if they keep up the vision control, the good buff steals as well.
It's a jungle control too.
So much power.
And the fact that him and Jez have synergized to the point where it's like, all right, even if you're getting ganked, communicate to me, I will go somewhere else, and then I can make a play there. And they're very okay. Like, they kind of feel like they're top of the food chain, in my opinion. I think they kind of feel like everybody has to come up to their level and meet them. So they're like, we can just play our game, sit back, we're fine, we'll relax, and then we'll beat you late game unless you do something crazy to meet us. Because they are just like, our normal skill level, or just where their resting point is higher than what other people have. It's a team, they're very cohesive, and I really think this is a Coast that needs to be feared moving on further into this tournament too.
Yep, so that's going to do it for that match, as now Coast is going to advance 2-0 over Team LoLPro. But don't go anywhere, there is actually more games coming, as it is going to be Team NME taking on Fusion right after this, and we'll see you after the break.